All right, well, here is the latest weather update for you here on mostly Facebook Live. This storm that's in Montague County, been watching it. They've attempted time to time to get their act together and get a little bit stronger, but they really haven't been able to do so. But we finally got, this is a hook echo. We finally got a thunderstorm that has developed into a supercell here basically over Bowie, right along 287, and of course this is increasing the size of hail there. North of Forestburg and kind of south of Montague. And it looks like that hook echo is right over the town of Bowie, or maybe just to the north of it a little bit. But it certainly does look like that there is at least a little bit of rotation in the thunderstorm, increasing a bit. Hard to tell exactly what's going on with the thunderstorm, but there does appear to be some rotation in this thunderstorm. What you see is the reds would represent winds blowing away from the radar, green show winds blowing towards the radar. So what you got here is you got a strong inflow jet that's called warm inflow into the storm blowing like this, and then you got your rear flank downdraft trying to come around to the back side of it here. So there is a bit of a spin. I don't know that it's quite got its act together yet, but there may be a little bit of a tornado potential with that trying to increase. Maybe just southeast of Bowie, perhaps, maybe, or maybe near Bowie, or just southeast of Bowie. So if you live anywhere east of Bowie, or maybe Sunset and over towards Forestburg, I'm watching this storm. I'm not saying it's going to produce a tornado, but still in a pretty favorable environment, and you can really see that hook echo developing there. We most likely have a wall cloud with this. So Cameron Lindsay needs to get to a good spot so we can see it. So, but yeah, that is a really nice hook echo there showing up on the, trying to read the weather service here to see if there's anything new from them. Continue with severe thunderstorm warning, but like I say, there's a really nice hook echo showing up right there on 287, just north of Sunset by a little bit and kind of on the southeast side of Bowie. This is going to head right at Forestburg, so basically the southern and southeast parts of Montague County. That's where we're mostly looking at this at here. And hail size is certainly increasing there in central Montague County. Could see some hails up to the size, perhaps of baseballs trying to develop there at this time. And there's the latest rotational velocities continue to show a spin right in this area, just north of Sunset. Doesn't really appear to be too organized yet, but it may be trying to get its act together at least some. And there is the tornado warning now out for Montague County. So let's go ahead and let's see where we at in the newscast here. It's at 9:40. We do need to go ahead and go on programming since this is in Bowie. Let's okay, let's just go ahead and go on since this is near Bowie. I need to go on with it. So let's go on with it. Of course, Cameron is out there here at this time. He's trying to get in position to see it. It's after dark, so it's going to be hard to see it. You've got a lot of warm inflow now into this thunderstorm. And again, there's your tornado warning for this particular storm. I'm trying to see if there's anything new from the Weather Service. I don't see anything new. All right, so here we go. We're about to go on live on CBS. All right, well, good evening. I do need to kind of go on.
Wait about 20 more seconds. Wait about 20 more seconds. Yeah. Stand by.
All right, well, new tornado warnings. First one we've had in a while is out for southern Montague County. We have a thunderstorm. This is a classic hook echo. This has been trying to organize for a while now. We have a possible developing tornado here on the southeast side of Bowie, just on the other side, the east side of 287, just north of Sunset and north of Alvord here. And again, this is going to be on the southeast side of Bowie. You can see this hook echo right in this area. To the north, there's some really big hail also falling up here from about St. Joe, Montague, especially kind of here in the center. There is the latest update, and you can really see that that hook echo, and right in there would be where a possible tornado would be developing. Let's look at the storm relative velocities there. What you see here is, in this instance anyway, this is the warm inflow. It's very, very humid tonight. We're talking about dew points well into the 70s, kind of to the south of this. There's increasing strong low-level winds blowing into this storm, and there's a lot of spin over this way. So you've got some really strong warm air flowing into the thunderstorm, and then you get this is the stuff on the backside. That's your winds rotating around on the backside. So you've got a really good push and a pull. Hard to say because this storm's a long way away from the radar, but it's hard to say if this is producing a tornado at this time, but it certainly does look like it's trying to get its act together. So if you live anywhere between Bowie and Forestburg, you certainly need to be taking all precautions at this point in time and putting your tornado safety plan into action. This is an after dark storm, and you're not going to be able to see it. That makes nighttime tornadoes particularly dangerous. You probably have the sirens going off in Bowie. It's very close. You kind of see several little areas of rotation here on the south side of Bowie. You're talking about where the Walmart is here. If you're along 287, you come up on the Walmart. That's where you're seeing this little rotation. You see a couple areas here. You see one to the east of Bowie, and we see also perhaps another one here on the south and southeast side, just kind of northeast of Amon Carter Reservoir there, or just kind of again on the south side of Bowie here. And it looks like this is going to stay north of Sunset unless it happens to kind of spin on around here. The tornadic circulation is south of the county seat of Montague there in Montague County, but this is just to the west of Forestburg. So any of these areas down here certainly need to be keeping a very, very, very close eye on this to see what happens with it. And again, there is your tornado warning up there, the southern parts of Montague County. Let's get to Cameron now and the First Alert Storm Tracker. Cameron, hopefully you've gotten to a good spot that you can see things. Of course, it's night. It's hard to see. Can you see any structure with this storm?
Ken, I haven't seen any structure yet. I'm currently on 1749 going east, so I just came out of Bowie, so I'm going from Sunset towards Forestburg, but I'm not planning to get into Forestburg for a while. Based on what it is, I'm going to stay on the backside of this storm as it does try to produce a tornado. In terms of seeing any structure, though, not seeing a ton of lightning, so the illumination effect that I need, I'm not really getting much of it right now. So right now, I'm just pushing towards Forestburg. We'll keep an eye on any structure, but again, having no lightning right now that I'm seeing, making things a bit difficult to see, but I'm sure that could change here soon as I'm getting a little closer to this thing.
The radar, Cameron, suggests this thing has a lot of lightning in it, so maybe you're not close enough to it. That's a big hook, though. That's a really big hook. It looks like now it's cleared Bowie. It's just to the east of Bowie here. You got the little community of Salona, and it's just about into Forestburg. It should be there shortly. So if you live in Forestburg, this thing is moving in your direction. We do got some rotation there. Kind of near or just southeast of Bowie, kind of over the Salona community, and it is moving due east right at Forestburg at this hour. So if you're over there in the southern parts of Montague County, and there is the latest radar update here showing those the wind velocities there really picking up here. And it looks to me like this thing is trying to get its act together. So what you're looking at here in this type of situation, if you're in Forestburg, you want to be watching. This is a very high tornado environment over in here. But what we're looking at, this would be, in this instance, this radar site is down here in the Fort Worth area. So your greens would represent winds blowing towards the radar. Your reds, in this instance, blow away. So you do got a bit of a circulation in here, but there also appears to be some winds blowing out from it too, or blowing kind of away. So you may have also some maybe some what we call diverging winds in here too that could produce some strong wind gusts. But there's your rotation, just kind of southeast. This would be your rear flanking downdraft in that area. You got really strong winds blowing out of the thunderstorm here, and you got strong winds also. This is your warm inflow, and this thing, all it's going to take is just one more little spin here, one more little update for this to wrap on around to make this a more significant possible tornado to develop. It looks like it's trying to now. It's pretty strong. Yes, sir. What you got?
So yeah, I'm just trying to help out Cameron on the roads there. I know it is dark out there. I'm checking the chat right now, Cameron, and that circulation is just east of Bowie, near FM 3043, and will cross the FM 1758 shortly east of town. And I know sirens are going off there in Bowie, and sirens are about to go off in Forestburg as well. So we're tracking this right now, Cam, for you. So. Trying to see if any spotters are out there as well.
So I mean, it looks like now the circulation is just probably a few miles southeast of Bowie. I think Bowie is okay. This part of the warning along 287 is probably okay. But it's from Salona and right at and it's going to be in Forestburg soon, moving pretty quickly, moving due east here. And like I say, this is in a favorable environment for it to produce something, and it could spin up at just about any time. Hopefully Cameron can get in a position here in just a minute so we can get a pretty good look at it. But like you say, at nighttime, it's harder to see. You have to rely 100% upon the lightning and the thunderstorm to illuminate any possible wall clouds or tornadoes with it, and it can make it really difficult sometimes to see. But as of right now, again, you got a well-defined hook echo here, supercell thunderstorm over southern Montague County. This is now east of Bowie. This is going to pass well south of Nocona, and the tornadic circulation in the thunderstorm is south of Montague as well. But there's a real strong signature here. Again, this would be your winds in the backside there. There's your inflow into the thunderstorm. You got the push and the pull. This would be your push. This would be your, this would be your pull, and this would be your push, the green. And it looks like there's pretty strong winds there too. We're just kind of waiting to see if this area here can wrap up. It looks like it might be trying to there just southeast of Salona. I bet we got a pretty good wall cloud with this here at this time, and it certainly could perhaps maybe try to spin things up. So we'll see how it all kind of unfolds here over the next few minutes. But if I'm in Forestburg or anywhere west of there, we will certainly want to be paying attention to this thunderstorm and getting to our tornado safe spot. Of course, the tornado safe spot would be to be somewhere lowest level of your house. You don't want to be upstairs. You want to be downstairs. You want to make sure that you're out of those mobile homes, storm shelter. Best place to be is a hallway, a closet, or a bathroom. That's where you really, really want to be here. And if you don't have a storm shelter with these particular storms. So significant rotation. Looks like we could have a tornado trying to develop here, maybe just east of Salona or near Salona, and just kind of west of Forestburg here, trying to wrap up here pretty tight. Let's put reflectivity back on there if we could there, Jaden. And wow, look at that hook echo. That's one of the that's probably one of the best hooks I've seen all day. That's a significant hook echo. You've got some really big hail here on the north side of this now. Kind of up towards or just east of Montague. You got some hail into Forestburg, but as this thunderstorm has increased in size and intensity, and you've really seen the rotation increase, you've seen the hail sizes go up. So I wouldn't be surprised if this thing is putting down some golf ball to baseball size hail here up to the north of Salona and north of Forestburg. Now the tornadic circulation is not far from Forestburg. It'll be there soon. So if you live here in southeastern Montague County near Forestburg, this tornadic circulation will be in your area very soon. You can really see that hook. This is your winds in the backside of the thunderstorm here that pulls the rain curtain back on around. And then right in there, that's where you get your what's called clear slot right there. That's your inflow into the thunderstorm. Let's put the velocities back on if we could there, Jaden, and take a look. A lot of lightning with this thunderstorm. See if there's any new updates there. It doesn't look like there's any new updates coming in on the radar yet. I'm still just kind of watching kind of this area here. That's pretty good circulation there, just kind of east of Salona, and just kind of moving right at the Forestburg area there. And we'll have to see again if this wraps up. Remember, there's a lot of real humid air over here, untouched air, a lot of energy still in the atmosphere over there into the Fort Worth area, and that's feeding that thunderstorm. And when you throw the low-level wind shear, the spin of the atmosphere, and on top of that, it can sometimes produce, even after dark, can produce some dangerous type of situations, and that's why we are on here with it. So what is Cameron in a spot now where he can talk to us, or Cameron?
I believe he's getting that camera set up right now as we speak. Cameron, just let me know whenever you're ready for us to take your shot. But Ken, looking at the chat, that storm, you were talking about Forestburg, how fast it's moving. It's moving east at 20 miles per hour, and it is producing golf ball-sized hail right now. So that's moving towards Forestburg, like we mentioned, and this storm is moving 20 miles per hour. Although it's moving slow, you want to put into notice that, with these slow-moving storms, it gives it more time to, feed off of that. There's that new scan right there, Ken.
Yeah, it's a pretty, it's hard to say. It still looks like there's some strong winds in here, kind of where you see this, this greenish color here, kind of represents a bit of a push there, some pretty strong winds. So could be some type of a pretty significant spin or wind here southwest of Forestburg. what I want you to do is put the storm. Let's put storm relative velocity on to see SRV and see if that makes a difference. Now go to the other.
That's storm relative.
All right, we'll go to the other velocities and let's see if that does anything. So it doesn't really do much of a change. So just two different types of ways to look at the winds in the thunderstorm there. But you kind of see a bit of a concentration, pretty strong winds here in this thunderstorm. We could perhaps maybe have a tornado here now coming in on the southwest side of Forestburg. Hard to tell exactly how strong the rotation is here. Remember, this is a long way from the radar site, but there looks like there's some pretty strong winds, at least here kind of along 455 and 1655 coming into Forestburg now. Cameron, looks like you're trying to get set up, but where are you at and what you got going on here?
All right, Ken. Right now I'm about 10 miles southwest of Forestburg. So I know I'm a ways out of Forestburg. However, it's a bit of a tricky chase right now because, you know, it's cell service right on the road I'm on right now. Actually, look at the scan. You know, the cell service out here is a bit spotty, so radar information on my end is fairly slow to go. And on top of that, you know, it's dark out here. I'm starting to see some more lightning out here, you know, but I'm able to get the latest radar scan. It looks like that's south of Forestburg, roughly right now. But where I'm at, I was parked in the where it's pulling in a lot of air, and I just looked at our weather station, and it says the dew point's at 78. I don't know how accurate that is considering all the moisture we've been driving through today, but it does have a dew point of 78 degrees right now, which again is like 10 miles southwest of Forestburg. So basically, what I'm doing right now, looking at radar and my position, I'm basically marching right on the back doorstep of this potential tornado right now. So I'll keep you updated. I'm taking my time because again, it's you know, radar data is slow on my end. I'm getting it, but it can be slow at times. I got to be really careful. I'm walking a fine line right now.
Always safety first. We're going to go into the newscast here in a few minutes, and we'll toss things over to Priscilla once we get there. So, but anyway, there is your sorry, really hard to tell, at least as far as. Let's just show the reflectivity if we could, Jaden. Let's just pop that up here. Maybe not quite as organized as it was here. You still got this spin on the backside. Look at this hole. There's your updraft right in that area there. It's called a beware, bounded weak echo region, and basically this is your updraft that shows an area void of rain. Could be trying to perhaps maybe organize a little bit. Looks like we got a little bit of a push of air coming out there, and there's your inflow back there. It's really, this is your inflow feeding that circle, that updraft, and a lot of hail. Most of it's been ping pong size there, golf ball size there, up to the north there in Hardy and kind of up towards in the east of Montague. And you see the circulation coming into Forestburg now. It doesn't look like a significant circulation. It looks like kind of a broad, but it could definitely peak up at just about any time. So we'll have to kind of keep an eye on that as it tries to inch its way over towards Forestburg. Not moving incredibly fast.
Yeah, that storm is kind of intensifying just a little bit. It's now at 40 miles per hour, and it's still, you know, dropping ping pong sized hail. Okay, so still seeing the ping pong sized hail over here in the southern and southeastern Montague County, especially towards Forestburg area. Let's put the storm relative velocities back on there, Jaden, if we could, see if anything changed. So no change here yet. I think you got a little bit of what we call a RFD surge, rear flank downdraft surge. Just basically some winds just kind of pushing out from the storm. Maybe here on the, perhaps on the south side of it a little bit. There still could be some rotation in here right along the 455 near Forestburg area. You're also seeing maybe another little bit of circulation over here south of Salona trying to pop up over this way and perhaps maybe show up a little bit there north of 1749. But again, nothing that's too major at this point in time. Yeah, there's your warning. It looks like the Weather Service has also extended that to the east over there, and it does continue for all of such southern and eastern, well, most of southern and southeastern parts of Montague County. Forestburg, you're right, kind of in the crosshairs of this. And if there is a circulation, tornado circulation, it's right in there east of Salona and just west of Forestburg, and it's kind of inching its way over to the east. Moving a little bit faster now, about 40 miles per hour, so hopefully we get some new radar information that come in so we can get a better idea of exactly what's going on. You know, it's hard sometimes, though, when you're kind of in between radar sites to determine exactly what we are seeing there. But this is the last of the storms is here in Montague County. I don't expect any more storms for the rest of the night. Anywhere west of here is all quiet. So what we got? We got camera night. So let's go. Camera, looks like you finally got into position to be able to kind of see it there on the lightning.
So what do you see there from your vantage point?
In terms of seeing, the lightning strikes are starting to pick up now in intensity as I am getting a little closer to it. But what I do want to share with you, Ken, is that, we're actually getting into a really good spot here, is that there's been a lot of branches in the road. So these winds, even if it's not the tornado itself, actually we got a down tree right on my left right now. So this thing's really pulling right now. So that's another thing that's kind of making this chase a little more difficult, is that I have to have branches in the road, and it smells like pine. And I don't know if it's pine, but it smells like tree, let's put it that way. So that could be another thing to report. It could be some branches getting broken with these winds right now. So again, I'm right on the back doorstep of the storm, so I'll keep you updated, Ken.
Looks like the rotation is tightened up there right over Forestburg at this time. So the Forestburg area, pretty good little couplet there. Let's go back over to the radar. Yeah, there are some tree limbs down, but that could be from some strong wind gusts there with this storm. Let's go back over to the radar, and we will go to the news here in a few minutes. We'll throw things over to Priscilla, but there is your tightened circulation right in this area there, right over the southwestern side of Forestburg, pretty close to where Cameron is. We do see some pretty good rotation starting to show up. This could be trying to produce a tornado. We saw we've seen a little bit, at least some tree limb damage there on Cameron's storm chase feed. So we know it's got strong winds in it, and it certainly does have some spinning air in it here too, pretty close to the Forestburg area. In addition to that, you got hail up to the north. This will continue to move over Forestburg with possible tornado here. Probably got some sirens going off there, probably been going off. Hopefully you're in your safe spot at this point in time. But again, rotation right there on the south side of Forestburg, crossing this area. Looks like we could have a little tornado trying to develop here at this time. Are we ready to go to the news? All right, going to go to the news now.
Live, local, now. This is News Channel 6 Weekends.
We're learning more on damage reports after a tornado ripped through Windthorst and other areas in Texoma. Good evening, I'm Priscilla Mesa. This is footage of a house and shop building on Conrady Road that was struck. We have spoken to the residents Lonnie and Leanne Berend, who were home at the time of the tornado but were unharmed. The house has roof damage and several large trees were destroyed on the property. They say the building next to their house is a total loss, as well as numerous downed utility lines. And Berend were thankful that nobody was hurt and for the quick cleaning effort response from their neighbors. Another area that was affected by the storm was the Windthorst ISD bus barn. As you can see, there was moderate roof damage to the metal structure. As of right now, we do not have any other reports of extensive damage or injuries. Now take a look at these photos and videos sent in from viewers on the tornado that touched ground. This is what caused that damage we saw just a bit ago. Some areas even saw hail. Now we'll take a look at a picture that we got, and it looks to be ping pong size hail. It's just south of Bowie not too long ago. And again, this is from that tornado earlier. Now Chief Meteorologist Ken Johnson joins us now. Ken, we did see a pretty active day with these storms. A few minutes ago, you were watching a potential tornado in Forestburg.
Still watching that now on the radar here, and not much has changed since we were on here a minute ago. We got some circulating air over here pretty close to the south side of Forestburg. Probably has moved a little bit east of here now. So, and matter of fact, we also had on the tracker feed a little while ago, and I've been watching it, that there's been some tree limbs and some trees kind of in the way. Looks like the storm with either some strong wind gusts or maybe a weak tornado could have broke those off some there. But we do got a little bit of a circulation maybe there on the south side of Forestburg. You see the greens. The greens will represent winds blowing kind of down towards the radar. The reds would show winds blowing away. So there's what we call converging air in here. Probably some strong winds on the south side of this too. So there could be perhaps a little bit of a spin up trying to develop there on the south side of Forestburg, maybe even a little bit east of here now. Of course, this will be out of Montague County pretty fast and moving over to the east there. So this won't be around too much longer, but definitely some strong wind gusts in there. Maybe a bit of a tornado. And if we just quickly put reflectivity on, you can certainly see that there's pretty good hook echo right in that area there, and some at least some I'd say nickel to maybe quarter size hail north of Forestburg, and this circulation is right there on the south side. Let's put velocities back on here real fast, and we got this circulation right there on the south side of Forestburg, probably move us over just a little bit here, and that's probably where the circulation is going to be located at. So if you're in Forestburg, stay in your safe spot for a little while longer until this thing gets on past you, because again, we do got this spinning air down this way, and we could see perhaps maybe a quick spin up develop there on the south side of Forestburg. We're watching this storm, and we'll have a look at your 7-day forecast coming up in a few minutes.
Thank you, Ken. Of course, it's always important to have a plan when we are under a tornado warning. Here's an example of the best and worst places to take shelter in. You want to make sure you are indoors, preferably the first floor in a room with no windows like a closet or bathroom. Vehicles and mobile homes are not safe, as Ken mentioned earlier. And having multiple ways to receive alerts and warnings is important as well during these situations. You can download our First Alert 6 app for the latest updates and watch live coverage on our News Channel 6 app, or catch it on our 24/7 news channel on 6.4 on your TV. It's also a good idea to check in on your friends and family that may be affected by these storms. Today, the last group of seniors from Ryder High School received their diplomas. It was a bittersweet ceremony that recounted the class of 2024, seeing many of the lasts in their school. And now those students will move on to the next stage of their life. Tonight brought family and friends together to cheer on the class of 2024. The Student Council president had this to say about those students' lasts.
This final goodbye marks the first steps into one of the most profound chapters of our lives. Yes, we've all become well acquainted with the word last, but there are a few things in life that I believe never have a last. I believe we will never make our last mistake, but I believe there's also never a last opportunity to learn.
Big congratulations to all of those graduates from News Channel 6. The storm started rolling into Texoma this afternoon, but the heat this morning had people diving into Splash Day at Lucy Park. Families got to go out and enjoy some time at the public pool free of charge today. The pool opened for swimmers at noon to get out of the heat and enjoy the water. The pool will now be open 7 days a week from noon to 6 p.m. with admission being $2 for ages 17 and under, $3 for 18 and older. East Project and American Legion Post 169 spent this morning honoring those that paid the ultimate sacrifice for our country. At East Lawn Memorial Cemetery, they held their first Memorial Day service, remembering those who we've lost. On the fourth Saturday of every month, East Project is out at East Lawn Memorial Cemetery to help cut the grass and clean the headstones to show respect for those buried there. There were several veterans and military families attending today's ceremony, showing a sense of unity between these families.
Those guys came out and they were noticing there was lots and lots of veterans out here. So we started talking about the possibility of having a Memorial Day ceremony.
The ceremony was a way to showcase the work being done every day in our community to honor veterans who died. Both East Project and Post 169 are hoping to make this an annual ceremony. East Project and Post 169 are out at East Lawn every Saturday once again. Now this weekend, many across the country are remembering fallen veterans. To honor those service members, there are many events being held this weekend, starting with the ceremony at the Wichita County Cemetery. The keynote speaker will be Major General Don Farrell, following a laying of wreaths by the Green Knights with the DAV. The Scotland Windthorst Veterans of Foreign Wars will also hold a service to honor those who died while serving in the United States Armed Forces. The first ceremony will take place at St. Boniface Catholic Church Cemetery in Scotland from 9:30 to 10 a.m. The second ceremony will be held in St. Mary's Catholic Church Grotto in Windthorst from 11 in the morning to noon. Now that may have changed after these storms, but we will keep a close look on those updates. And the Red River Harley-Davidson in Wichita Falls will be holding a fundraiser for Run for the Wall, an organized cross-country motorcycle ride to honor our veterans, their families, and friends, as well as raise awareness of those still missing, prisoners of war, and missing in action. They will be serving fresh burgers with chips and a drink for donation. For a full list of Memorial Day ceremonies, you can visit our website, newschannel6now.com. Still ahead, News Channel 6, food, water, and medicine aren't the only needs in Gaza. More on the struggle to survive in the region after this.
All right, significant rotation. Looks like we got a possible twin over there just southeast of Forestburg, about to move out of Montague County. We're seeing pretty strong rotation down there. There's actually some tree damage also down in that area too. I think we got one on the ground there, but that's kind of about to move out of Montague County and kind of over towards the Roston area. We'll be tracking what's left of this storm, plus a look at your forecast for the rest of the week as we come back.
one of the most important things when we're talking about.
All right, so let's talk about the weather, and for the good news is for Texoma, the storm threats have now ended. The last of the storm threats were over here in Monte County. Well, maybe still a little bit over here near and south of St. Joe. This is actually a big supercell, a really big, dangerous thunderstorm over here exiting Monte County and moving over here into Cook. It took a while for this to organize, but it finally did, and it's taking full. It's the only storm out there, and it is taking full advantage of the atmosphere. And I got a bad feeling as this thing heads over closer to I-35, kind of over here to Cook County, this thing could produce perhaps a significant tornado. In addition to that, there's some really big hail now just northeast of Forestburg, but the tornado threat appears to be over in Forestburg now. Look at that big hook echo. You can see the strong rotation there showing up there. Kind of east of Forestburg and kind of over here now into southwestern Cook County. The red show the strong winds blowing towards, and the green shows the strong winds here wrapping around it. Yeah, it's probably a fairly significant tornado here, perhaps on the ground moving into Cook County. I can show you our storm tracker. I'm not going to take camera, but I'll show you the feed here. And he's down there. He's south of Forestburg, and this is either a lot of tree damage here. This is either from wind or a tornado. I think it could have been from a tornado here, but at least some tree damage with some snapped trees down there along the road. I'm not sure what highway he's along, but it looks like Cameron's storm chase night is probably over with, as it has gotten dark now. Storm is moving out of our area anyway, and the trees are certainly blocking the road. You got some people down there trying to move them out of the way now. All right, so back over to the radar, and again, that storm continues to move on out. So the threat for severe weather has ended in most of Texoma, just maybe a little bit longer over there in southeastern parts of Montague County. In Vernon right now, we're looking at we had some thunderstorms around the area earlier today, but they didn't get too bad. 83 degrees there now. Humidity still high at 78%. Southeast winds here about 10 miles per hour. Low barometric pressure here tonight. Albany, just a little bit off to your north, there was a rotating storm earlier today, and that's the same one that went on to produce that big stovepipe tornado, or big cone tornado near Windthorst earlier in the day. 85 right now here, barometer at about 29.60. Into Lawton tonight, there were some storms around you, but it didn't get too bad in southern Oklahoma here. 78, real feel here 81. Humidity is high at 88, 40%. It is very humid tonight. But we're going to see some drier air come in tomorrow. The dry line pushes on through, so the humidity drops tomorrow. But with the drier air, going to be pretty warm. Don't be surprised if we get into the mid-90s tomorrow. 76 in Duncan now, 87% humidity, feeling more like 77. There were some storms around Duncan earlier tonight. Here in the Falls, we found a couple little waves of thunderstorms here. Nothing that got too bad. A little hail here or there, some downpours, but thankfully the big stuff, the big storm stayed south of us here. 79 degrees in the Falls now, humidity at about 88%. Southeast winds about 10 miles per hour. Future tracker shows all the thunderstorms out of here. There's some maybe south of us late tonight, early tomorrow morning, but none of that here. And tomorrow, with that low humidity, the thunderstorm chances are out of here. Now, as we head into the middle of the week, thunderstorm chances return, but this is not the same type of thunderstorm chances that we see with severe weather. As we get towards the middle of the week, we enter into what's called MCS type of weather patterns, where we see these complexes of storms develop oftentimes west of us, and they move over us afternoon or evening. You see the wind shear perhaps get a little bit weaker. So we're not looking at big severe weather later on in the week, but maybe some pretty heavy rain developing mid to late next week. Temperature-wise tomorrow, 96 in Vernon and Seymour, 95 there in in Quanah, 95 in the Falls, 95 in Henrietta. That wind will be out of the west, and again, the humidity will be really low tomorrow. 7-day forecast, Memorial Day is on Monday, 93 for that, 88 and beyond, some clouds, rain chances off and on throughout the middle and latter part of the week. And again, could see some heavy rain, but the threat for severe weather this next go-round will be on the low side.
Thank you, Ken. Since Israel struck back at Hamas, the living situation for people living there has become increasingly dire. The International Court of Justice just today called it disastrous. Paula Hancock has more on the struggle to survive.
Living in a city of ruins is barely living. The daily search for water and food in Gaza's second largest city of Khan Yunis is relentless. This young man says life is horrible. Isam shows us what's left of his home, a twisted shell of concrete with tarpaulin for walls. The bathroom, he says, is half destroyed, the living room half destroyed, and I'm now sleeping in the kitchen with my family, with my children. Ominous cracks slice through the ceiling, which bulges precariously over the family below. As you can see, he says, the ceiling is cracked and could fall at any time. God knows we could be dead or alive in the morning. It is dangerous and it is unsanitary, and yet better than the alternative. He says he has been unable to secure a tent for his family. Others have found shelter in a bombed school. Around 100 families live here.
And also,
Mohammed was an engineer in Gaza City. He has been forced to move his family almost half a dozen times so far by the Israeli military, most recently from Rafah. He points to his 7-month-old son, saying he needs to be allowed to live.
do you think he's Hamas? He's have a Kalashnikov, who have RPG, who have something to work, to make a war with a silent soldier?
His only hope, he says, he shares with all Gazans, that the war will end.
We are human, not animals, like some people say. Israeli people say, we not animals. We are humans, we have rights.
This is where the Israeli military says the displaced should move to, Al-Mawasi, calling it a, quote, humanitarian zone. As waste piles high alongside makeshift shelters, aid groups call it unfit for human habitation. The Israeli military response to the Hamas October 7th attacks continues to be overwhelming for those trying to survive in Gaza. Israel insists it needs to destroy Hamas and find the remaining hostages. Local officials estimate 80% of buildings in Khan Yunis have been destroyed. And yet, amid the dusty wasteland, a makeshift market has sprung up. Everything is destroyed, this vendor says. This is a ghost town. People are living on top of dead bodies, still under the rubble.
If you're firing up the grill for a Memorial Day cookout, a registered dietitian for Cleveland Clinic has some tips to keep in mind when preparing all those cookout staples.
One of the most important things when we're talking about maintaining food safety is really to make sure that you keep the raw foods separate from the cooked foods.
She says it's important to keep raw meats away from things like fruits and veggies to avoid transferring any harmful bacteria between foods. You either want to have separate cutting boards and knives for the meat you're preparing, or clean your utensils after using them for raw meat. While grilling, juices from the meat you're cooking should not drip down onto other foods. You also want to have a meat thermometer handy to check everything is cooked properly, and don't let those burgers sit out too long before you eat them. This weekend is also bringing some of the busiest days U.S. airports have seen. The Transportation Security Administration say Thursday's was the second busiest day ever recorded, with 2.9 million passengers screened that day.
I think people are not being held back, I think with the pandemic, people felt that they had to hold back and, be a little bit cautious. But I think people are coming out of their skin a little bit and enjoying life again.
TSA says 5 out of its 10 busiest days were recorded this month. They predict travel to continue ramping up as summer arrives. As the unofficial start to summer kicks in this weekend, a new survey from Mass Mutual finds 1/4 of Americans think they will spend more this summer than last year. But Nancy Chen found out that enjoying summer doesn't mean you have to break the bank. Take a look.
The temperatures aren't the only things spiking this season. Brian Vines from Consumer Reports.
Why is summer so expensive?
Well, in a word, we're all outside, finally. So with volume comes increased prices sometimes.
Even the season's staple of grilling can be pricey to pull off. Cookout News estimates the national average for a cookout this year at nearly $90, up more than 16% from 2022.
But there are ways to spend less so you can grill more. Cookout News says to use cheaper cuts of meat, like pork shoulder and pulled pork. You can also use flat iron steak and dark meat chicken like thighs and wings. And you can cut back on costly protein by mixing vegetables like mushrooms into your burger patties.
And if your summer plans include a trip, the national average of gas is still up 51 cents a gallon since the start of the year.
To save at the pump, experts say load everything inside your car. Putting luggage on a rack could increase drag, which means more gas. Plus, you can increase your fuel economy by close to 15% by decreasing your speed by just 5 to 10 miles per hour.
And staying cool doesn't have to burn a hole in your wallet either. Adjust your thermostat as you head out the door. A difference of 7 to 10 degrees for 8 hours could save up to 10% on your monthly bill.
It does add up. It's these little bitty wins that really translate into savings to last you all season.
The last two Texoma teams in the playoffs had elimination games today. Were they able to grab the win? Stick around to see next.
Now it's time for sports on News Channel 6, sponsored by Midwestern State University.
Playoff games always bring the best out of every team. Whether it's a 3-game series or a 7-game series, each time out is better than the last. But what if all it came down to was one game, win or go home? Well, that was the case for the Iowa Park Lady Hawks, who faced the undefeated Coahoma Bulldogettes, who have a 55-game win streak dating back to March of 2023. But before the action, the Lady Hawks got a send-off this morning in fashion. Okay, to the action. Top of the second, scoreless to this point, J.C. Barnes gets a hit, Coahoma can't grab it, and she makes it to first. After a bunt from Callista Barrett, helping Barnes get to second, Bailey Martinez nails one to deep center, and again, Coahoma mishandles, and the Lady Hawks get on the board. Sadly for the Lady Hawks, the Bulldogettes got a homer from Bailey Wright to spark a 12-run inning in the bottom of the second. And congrats to the Lady Hawks on their incredible season, but they fall 12-1. Now we go to Abilene, where the Jacksboro Tigers face the Shallow Water Mustangs. Top of the first, Mustangs strike first. Garrett Boschum with a deep shot to the wall. That would allow Clayton Vincent to score to take a 1-0 lead. We head to the bottom of the fifth. Tigers come alive. Caleb Howard with a huge shot. It's a ground rule double. Kyla Swan comes in for the score. Howard in at second. 2-1 still in the fifth. Wyatt Gravitt with a hit to the gap. Jackson McComas coming from first, and he ain't stopping. All the way in for the slide and the score, and the Tigers take Game 3 to become regional semifinals champions. Looking to the NBA, the Dallas Mavs were in action last night, and yet another crazy game with the Minnesota Timberwolves, which came down to the wire. With 12 seconds to go in the fourth, the Wolves would be up 108-106, and then Luka happened. He would get the switch on Defensive Player of the Year, Rudy Gobert, and shake and bake and nail a huge three to put them up by 1, and they will go ahead and win this one by 1 point. The Mavs take the first 2 games on the road, and now they look to close out this series at home, looking to finish it off. Luka had 32 points and 13 assists with 10 rebounds, and Kyrie Irving had 20. Game 4 is tomorrow. The Dallas Stars will be back on the ice tonight for Game 2 with the Oilers, and they lost Game 1 in overtime. The Stars will get scoring from 3 different players tonight, and thanks to great defense to limit the Oilers, they win this one. Game 3 is Monday. Remember, you can always follow the latest in Texoma Sports. With the News Channel 6 app, just head to the sports page.
And one last look at storm tracker radar. Currently, you can see those storms moving out of Montague County into Cook County, so that's out of our viewing area. That is good news for us across the region of Texoma, because that means we are out of the storm threat and we can go home and sleep in peace. But overall, here is your 7-day forecast. One last look at it, and you can see just a beautiful day heading into tomorrow. 95 degrees. Then you can see Monday for Memorial Day, you'll have beautiful temperatures, lots of sunshine. Those winds are going to be calm, 93 degrees, and then you can see storm chances return Tuesday throughout the rest of the week, but nothing too crazy like we saw today. Those are just going to be some of your typical heavy downpours of rain. But overall, enjoy Memorial Day on Monday.
All right, thank you, Jaden. Before we leave, scientists have discovered a potentially habitable planet about 40 light years away. A study published last week says it's smaller than Earth but larger than Venus. It falls within the habitable zone where liquid water and possibly life as we know it can exist. The planet orbits a small star in the constellation Pisces. Researchers calculate its surface temperature at 42 degrees. Pretty cool.